Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Well, I'm going to do this video and I'm not real sure where it's going to go along the way, but I've had several requests to do a video on my ESEE knife collection. Anyone who's watched this channel very much will be able to tell that I am a huge fan of ESEE knives. The main reason for that is I like things simple. Simple, easy. I like a knife that'll cut when I need it to, that I can beat on if I have to and not worry about it breaking. If I need to do a little bit of prying, I can do that as well. Plus, I love the company's reputation and the warranty. Now, I've had ESEE knives now for going on 8 years, and I have never had one to break. And if you've watched some of my videos, I have got some stories on some of them, especially on my ESEE 5, where I actually used it to cut the windshield out of an overturned box truck so that we could free the driver that had a broken collarbone and couldn't climb out. But that being said, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk briefly about each individual one, go over the modifications I've made to it, talk about the pros, the cons, if there are any cons. I've got a couple of them that I don't have any complaints with. So I'm going to talk about all of those right up front. I don't have any of the 440 stainless. I don't have any of the S35V. Everything I've got is 1095 for the very reason of keep it simple, stupid. So 1095 is easy to work with, easy to resharpen, takes a lot of stress and a lot of shock. So that's why I stick to the 1095. And then on top of that, Rowan does a hell of a job for ESEE with their heat treat. So I'm going to start out with my smallest knife, work my way up, and finish up with my Gibson axe. And talk about each one of them just a little and go from there. So start out with my Azula 2. The reason I went with the 2 over the regular Azula is because of the longer handle length on the Azula 2. It's about a ½ inch, almost a ½ inch longer on the backside than the regular Azula. The blade length, shape, and everything from here forward is identical on both of them. Now, if you look at this one, the first thing you'll notice is the coating is gone. I do not like ESEE's coatings. And nothing against the coating. It does what it's supposed to. It holds up well. But what turned me off to them was I dressed out a deer with my ESEE 5 while it still had the coating on it. And all of that fat and membrane from the animal got into that texture on the finish and actually hurt the performance of the knife. Once all of that fat and stuff built up in that texture, it didn't want to slice, it didn't want to free the skin from the meat. So I constantly had to take it inside, run hot water over it, scrub it with a brush to get all that gunk out of the texture, and then come back and start back to it again. That is the very reason why all of my ESEE knives that have the black powder coating on it, that's why all the coating is removed. Now you will see on some of them, this one here, I've removed it off the whole blade. Looking back at it, I wish I had done it like some of my other ones, and I'll show you those here in a few minutes. I do change the grind angle on all of my ESEEs. I believe it says on the website that the grind angle is 25 to 30, and I change all of them to 20. I have found that that greatly improves the cutting capability of the blade. This one, I've 90'd the spine on it so that I can use it with a ferrule rod. This was one of my most used everyday carry fixed blades. The sheath, I don't have any complaints with the sheath. It's got the standard clip on it. You can clip it in your pocket, you can clip it on your belt, and it holds rock solid. Next one is going to be my ESEE 3. This one, I've worked on it, the sheath a little. If you hear, it doesn't make very much noise. Reason being is I heated it up right there, squeeze it to take the rattle out, because it had some side-to-side rattle in it. Other than that, I have no complaints with the sheath for what it is. It works great. The spring clip works great. I did get an armistice carry sheath for it, but that was it. As you can see with this one, the finish has been taken off of it all the way back under the handles and everything. I've 90'd the spine on this one as well. Now, if you look at it, see how it's kind of smoked looking? If you put paint stripper on the finish and let it set until the finish crinkles and then wipe that off, you're left with this smoky look underneath of it. And from what I've gathered, that is because they bead blast these blades before they powder coat them. The 3, I don't have any complaints at all with it. I've beat this thing through pieces of wood the diameter of pop cans and never had an issue with it. It's got a heck of an edge on it. It'll shave you. It's that sharp. Oh, my next one is the PR4. This knife, I have done absolutely nothing to it other than beat the crap out of it. I did change the grind angle, like I said, on it. I've done that on all of them. If there was a complaint to this knife, if there was, it would be the handle scales. They are so thin. Now, that's a good thing in a way, because if you've got it in your hand, there's no way you can accidentally miss how that blade's indexed. No hot spots with that traction finish on those handles. I have no complaints at all with this, other than I wish, instead of coming with the leather sheath, I wish that it came with a Kydex sheath. That would be the only thing I would change about that knife. Next one up is my laser strike. Now, besides changing the grind angle on this one and 90 in the spine, I have done one other thing. If you notice, I took all the jimping off of that. And the reason for that is when you're choked up on that knife like that right there and really bearing down on it, or got your thumb up there bearing down on it, the jimping would cause a sore spot on your thumb. It was just a little too harsh for what I liked. Now, if you'll look at this one, you'll notice that I didn't take the coating off under the handle. I just took the coating off to about right there on the blade. And again, it's got that same smoky finish once I took that off. That one, I don't have any complaints with it other than that jimping on the back of it was really sharp. Now, this was my first ESEE, and I've taken the finish off of it. Reason I took the finish off of it is once I cut the windshield out of that truck, it demolished the finish. So I just put stripper on it, cleaned the rest of it off, and patinaed it with vinegar and etched it with mustard. I changed the grind angle on it as well, knocked the jimping down a little on the back, and put that little dimple in there so that I could get on a ferrule rod with it. The other thing that I did is I took a Dremel tool and took the glass breaker off the back of it. The reason I did that is because the way the sheath rides, if you're not careful, it kept hitting me in the elbow, right there on the funny bone. So I took that off. I did double the bow drill divot. What I did is I took the scales off, lined them up, drilled a small pilot hole all the way through, and then used that pilot hole to center my bow drill divot on the other side so that they both line up. I've also rounded the scales on this one, on both sides. You can see where I took a Dremel tool and rounded them, and I put the little thumb scallops there. But I've contoured them a whole lot from what they originally were, and it changed the whole feel of that knife. The sheath, I have no problems with that sheath in that one. Oh, this is my newest one, the ESEE 6. Again, I took the finish off but left it under the handles on it. That helps with the corrosion under the handles. I learned that from the first two, my ESEE 3 and my Azula. If you do get them out and get them very, very wet in water or rain, they will rust underneath the handle scales, and you'll have to take those off and clean them. This knife, I've been very, very impressed with. It goes against my normal saying on a knife. I usually like a knife with a 4 to 5 inch blade. Now, that being said, this right here is the game changer, that choil, because that allows me to get way up on that blade and be able to use that blade as if it was shorter than what it really is. Only thing I've done to it, again, knocked the jimping down, and I've got about 1.5 inch section right there that I've 90'd on it, and that was it. Again, on the sheath, I don't have any complaints on the sheath with it. Now, get it back up here. Last, the Gibson axe. My only modification has been to the mask itself. The original mask on this come around right here and come up and over and snapped in. Well, it was so loose that it would do that, and I could take it off with it snapped on. So what I did is I cut the original strap off and sewed this one on. And what it does now, as you saw, it comes all the way around behind and snaps in, and that mask will not come off of it now. I understand why they've done it, but there is not a square edge, a 90 edge anywhere on this thing. Everything is rounded and smooth and comfortable in the hand. That being said, the only way you can use this with a ferrule rod is if you actually use the edge, and I'm not going to do that. As far as the performance of this thing is impressive for no bigger than it is. To give you an idea, there's a 12-inch ruler. It's right at 10 inches long. And for a 10-inch tool, this thing will chop. You can baton it as well. I have done that a lot on bigger wood. Get it started and then baton it on through. It is a splitting machine. But again, the only complaint on it was the mask for it, or sheath. Now, that is all of my ESEEs. I do have an Ontario RTAC 2 down there on the end, which I guess would be the precursor to the Hungulus. But that's an Ontario. I'm not even going to get into that. Those are my ESEEs. I can only think of maybe 2 or 3 more ESEEs that I'd like to have. I've really been looking at the JG3. I have been looking at I think it's an RB3. And then I'm looking at the SE4 HM handle mod. But do I need them? Not really. Everything that I do, I've done with these. I just like the design of them. I'm partial to ESEEs, so I can sit here all day long and tell you, you can't beat them for the price. The most expensive thing I've got up there, I think, is the Gibson axe. And Everything else is, well, they may have gone up some, but everything else, I've got $165, $170 or less in all of them. This one right here was the cheapest one I've got out of the bunch, and I think I had $70 in it. But their warranty is unconditional. They actually have one at Smoky Mountain Knife Works where a guy put it in a vise and shot it with different calibers just to see what happens. He sent the pieces in, they sent him a new knife. If you break it, they'll replace it. No ifs, and, or buts about it. A company with a warranty like that is phenomenal in my mind. I could take any of these knives, give them to a buddy of mine as a present. He could take it out and break it and contact them, and they'd send him a new knife. It doesn't apply just to the owner of the knife. So that to me is impressive, that a company has that kind of faith in their product, that they'll let the warranty transfer. A lot of places won't do that. So there's just a quick overview. Like, share, subscribe. I'm going to try to start getting all of these knives out in the field and doing some field reviews with them. Carving, feather sticks, notches, batoning, that kind of chopping, that kind of stuff. I actually had one individual that wants me to do a comparison video between the Gibson axe and the ESEE 5 because the weight is very, very close to being the same. Just to see which one performs best in chopping. So I'll be getting that done. I've got a couple other things in mind that are coming, so just bear with me. But that's all I've got for tonight. If you got any questions, leave me a comment. I'll try to answer them for you. If there's something you want to see me do with any of these ESEE knives, let me know. And I'll try to get a little video up of doing batoning, feather sticks, whatever you want to see with them. So, like, share, subscribe. I'll get another one up for you soon.